thank you to 6 Feet Over for being a part of my show. I raised $390 for them, and thank you everyone who bought work, because 10% of the proceeds went to the organization.
Yeah, my name is Laura, and I am from 6 Feet Over, and we are the benefactor of a nice donation from Dawn. She's making sure to take care of us for making sure some proceeds come to us, so that is huge. If you don't know what 6 Feet Over is, we are a suicide loss survivor support group and outreach program. We also offer financial aid to people who have lost someone. So, I mean, as we all know, and one of the things that Dawn kept mentioning was like your community and your place and your honesty with everything. And the suicide conversation is still so incredibly difficult, even for people that haven't experienced it personally. Katie, our founder, who she lost her mom in, I believe it was 2003, and she didn't have anybody to go to. So she's the reason why this exists, and just because she never wanted anyone else to feel like they didn't have someone to talk to and somewhere to go and a resource to say, you know, hey, I'm struggling, or hey, whatever, you know, just to have somebody to talk to. And then when you're young and you're trying to figure things out and you're, you know, processing things through art and you're doing these things that you think, you know, there's just so much more to it. And it's not the journey's not the same for everybody. Grief isn't something that, if it was easy to process, we would all do it. But, you know, we'll still process grief our whole lives. And just an important thing about the outreach aspect of it is when Katie first started this out, she wanted to make sure that she was taking it to people that didn't normally have that kind of support or that kind of attention, right? Me and her both, we went to high school together, so we've known each other for a long time. And when we were kids, we would go, you know, to St. Andrews and things like that, and that's like the kind of place, like punk rock shows and things like that, was where she wanted to get the message out, because like it's a big community of good people that just don't have resources. But then when you step back and you look at everybody, like nobody really has good resources. So especially going into communities like that where it is, well, with any community, I mean, obviously we deal with all kinds of communities, veterans, LGBTQ, anyone that just doesn't have that support anyways when they need help, you know, to also have that specialized suicide grief help and support. We actually just made, we just hit 1 million and donated to families. So
Ooh.
That is so freaking cool. Yes.
Wait, you guys have donated a collection of like 1 million?
Two people. So
families?
yes. So one of my favorite things about 6 Feet Over is it's not a nonprofit that like merch. Like, okay, you go to a breast cancer walk, everybody's got the shirt they wear that one day and then they throw it out after or whatever, right? It's wasteful. Like our money goes back into, after we pay for, you know, our costs and all that, the money goes into directly survivors of suicide. You lost someone to suicide. You have 3 kids at home, and that was the breadwinner that you just lost. And now you have to biohazard clean up the house, and you have to go to work, and you have kids. So you have all this stuff going on, and then you also don't have anyone that cares. No one can help you. I mean, and it's not that people don't care, it's that they don't have the capacity to care, which is something you see now because everybody's hurting. So when everybody's hurting, how can we help each other? And that's kind of like our main goal, is just to make sure that people are felt seen and heard and respected and loved, and just making sure that everyone can find their place with their grief and with their processing of grief in a way that is better for all of us, because it touches all of us. But yeah, one of our Suck It Suicide is like the salty name. We always like tease that's like the, you know, that's the one that's hard to push when we're doing it at the church or whatever. They're like, hang on here.
Yeah.
Suck it. The verbiage on that's a little rough, but like, but where that resonated though was with our people at our punk shows, at our things like that, where people are like, yeah, like just putting a healthy spin on something that is something you can't control and something that's hard to process is beautiful to me. And that's so much why I love your work here too, because and I love that it is just about that honesty and that processing of grief that none of us really, we're always gonna, you know, be working through and learning what works for us and whatever, but sorry, I said I might get rambling too. But so Suck It Suicide is that part of it. It's like our outreach portion of it where, you know, we're out just talking to people. We're at every Pride, we're at every single, we're at Pride today. So, I mean, we're at Ferndale and then, you know, we got Motor City and Rubbing the Thumb and doing a couple veterans benefit fairs. I mean, so we are as many places as we can with our stuff.
Is it mostly volunteer based?
Well, luckily, what's cool for me is I used to come, like when I traveled, or like I lived around the country for, you know, a while, and I would come home and I would volunteer with Katie just to like, I'm in Hamtramck again, this feels great, you know, like I'm with my people, you know, like it just feels like you're home and you get to help and I get to hang out with Katie, which is a blast. But like things like Pride and things like that, we get a ton of volunteers for. We get some volunteers that help us make care packages, which is, it's just amazing the amount of things that I could talk about that I don't have the time to go into or the mental capacity to handle. One of the things that we do when someone passes and they reach out to us and they say, I'm struggling financially, is they will go through our lemonade process. And our lemonade process is a questionnaire that you fill out when you need funds. You can't pay for a funeral, you can't pay for a cremation, you can't pay for biohazard, whatever. We get those funds to them, but then we'll also send them a package. So they'll have a little, you know, some things that like, you know, maybe they're interested or maybe they like, and then it just is a nice way for us to just give them some comfort at a time when no one wants to talk to them about it. Like, it's wild to think like just not talking about something can like make it go away or make it not real for some people.
I think people are afraid to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And especially with suicide, I think it's a unique type of loss that we're not really equipped to address properly.
Yeah.
And I think people skirt around it because no one wants to actually say, yeah, my loved one committed suicide.
Yeah.
You know, people want to frame it differently.
Yeah, because people pull back when they hear the word even. So like even you'll hear it and you're like, ow, that hurt. Like it hurt me a little bit because it's like, it is terrible. And then also too, just there's so much that, you know, people will never understand about it. So there's like the heartache of that too, that people are dealing with. Yeah.
Is there like support? You guys offer like grief support for
Yes.
like that?
So one of the cool
grief counseling or something?
Yep, so basically what we will do is like help somebody get that support. So if like what kind of insurance do you have, I will find who your people are in this area. You know, maybe we even have people that we know in that area depending on where it is. Yeah, so I mean, like we help get them to that, and then quickly. I mean, you know, and then as quick as we can, as quick as we can afford to, because there's also only so many of us, and you know, we get a lot of requests for help. Like right now, we're on like a little bit of a hold because our processing time, like when we run out of money, we can't give people money. So like that's why we're at every Pride. We're selling merch. We're selling, all that money goes to these families that need it and might be like waiting or might need that quicker than, you know.
Yeah,
what
do
we
you guys
can
get
offer.
like a lot more requests than what you can accommodate?
Well, yeah, and especially
so there's a real need for
and
this.
now too. So like as the state of the world is and the state of things and just everything. I mean, people are finding less and less ways to connect and reach out and do that stuff. So we just kind of help be that buffer to get them the support they need and also to kind of check on them, you know, and see how they're doing and just because unless you've experienced something like that, you don't really know, like you know how when you meet somebody and they're really kind, even though you know that they've had like a terrible life, you're like, wow, this is that, and that person is being kind. To me, that's like the strongest people that exist, because it's not easy to be nice when everything's wrong and, you know, you have everything going on, and then on top of it, the rest of the world's problems that you also have to address and try to fix and help and whatever. So, I mean, we're just overwhelmed and we're tired, and what is it? We're all tired and no one trusts each other. Oh, that's from the thing. I gotta stop doing that. But it's just like one of those things where you just want it to be better and you don't know how to do it. And Katie found a way to do that. And the fact that she's like been doing this now for so long and doing it with like, I mean, she's got help, like we have volunteers, we have like a board and stuff like that, but the fact that she is doing this by herself blows my mind, because it is a lot. I mean, she's a suicidologist. I was like, that's a thing? I'm like, that's cool. Like, I'm learning all kinds of stuff.
Suicidologist?
A suicidologist. And
is there someone who studies the...
Like, she knows everything. She studied it all. Yeah, like, she's got it all. She is, like, one of the experts on suicide.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy? But she's, you know, she's done a lot of work
I would
on it.
really love to pick her brain one day.
Yeah, well, it's difficult because she's all over
the place. I know.
And that's how I'm kind of like that too. So when me and her get together, we're this tornado of crazy, and I'm always bouncing ideas off her, and she's always smacking them away. Not yet. No, but it just has been so wonderful. But the thing that I just want to just reiterate is like how cool it is that people that don't have done this for us. I mean, like, it helps us and it makes us feel like the community gives a shit.
Yeah.
Which is, like, if we're not all taking care of each other, what are we doing here? Like, why are we still, you know, why are we still doing all of this, you know? Who wants to, you know, let's try and make this work together and make it a good life, because we only get one of them and time is precious. And yeah, but I just did want to just really a shorter version of this would be thank you to Dawn and her beautiful editing studio and Aaron Control. And no, yeah, but the short version would be just thank you. But it's been a wild ride. Like, just, yeah, it's been a wild ride learning.
It seems like intense work. Like, it can also be very intense. And that's what's really crazy about Katie, that she's been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
And like, that's so intense. Like, how?
Yeah.
She has to really mean it with her whole heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And she just couldn't do anything.
And that's why I thought of her. That's why I thought of the organization, because I see her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. It's nice and it's good that people do, because it's great and it's just nice, and it makes us all better as better people, just to have that learning and empathy and that kindness that it's so easy to lose it when we're all broke and strapped and you know,
and brokenhearted
and
that's a
broken,
song
brokenhearted. I know. Yeah. Oh gosh. If you guys are interested in what we do have like flyers and stuff out there. You go to our website, and I know there's a million things I didn't cover here, but just reach out to us anytime. Send us an email at the info goes to our whole team. So if you have a random question, if you want to volunteer, donate, whatever, we're there for you. So, and we appreciate you and we love you, and thank you again, Dawn, for everything.
Yeah,
this
thank you for
thank you for telling us
about the organization too.